She stood barefoot on the cold AGT stage, holding a microphone that shook in her hands, while judges whispered that she wasn't ready. Just seconds away from rejection, a poor Filipino girl took one deep breath and sang a single note that changed her life forever. If stories of hope, struggle, and impossible dreams inspire you, hit subscribe now and stay with us, because what happened next stunned America. Her name was Maria Santos, and she came from a small coastal village in the Philippines where the ocean gave more heartbreak than hope. Maria was born in a tiny wooden house balanced on stilts, surrounded by saltwater and poverty. Her father was a fisherman who left before sunrise and returned after sunset, often with empty nets and tired eyes. Her mother washed clothes for neighbors, scrubbing other people's stains to keep food on the table. From the time Maria could walk, she learned what it meant to live with less. Less food, less security, and fewer dreams. But there was one thing she had more of than anyone else around her, and that was music. Maria learned to sing before she learned to read. Her grandmother used to hum old Filipino lullabies during power outages, when the village went dark and silent except for the sound of waves crashing nearby. Maria would sit beside her, copying every note, every breath. Singing became her escape from hunger, from storms, from the fear that her life would never be different from the lives around her. When her grandmother passed away during a typhoon, Maria sang at the funeral, her small voice trembling but pure. People cried not just because of loss, but because they felt something rare in her voice, something honest. As Maria grew older, life grew harder. Her father injured his leg and could no longer fish every day. Medical bills piled up. Maria stopped going to school regularly and helped her mother clean houses. At night, she would sing softly so the neighbors wouldn't complain. Sometimes she sang to empty rooms, sometimes to herself in front of a cracked mirror. She never imagined singing on a big stage. That world felt too far away, too rich, too impossible. One night, while cleaning a house with a television playing in the background, Maria saw America's Got Talent for the first time. She watched contestants from all over the world step onto a massive stage, lights shining, judges watching closely. She didn't understand every word, but she understood the emotion. She saw people cry, saw dreams come true in minutes. That night, Maria whispered a promise to herself. One day, she would stand there too. Years passed, and the dream stayed alive, even when everything else seemed to fall apart. A powerful storm destroyed their home, forcing Maria and her family to live in a temporary shelter. Her mother fell sick, and Maria took on more work. Singing became something she did quietly, almost secretly, like a fragile flame she was afraid the world might blow out. But destiny has a strange way of finding people who refuse to let go of hope. A local charity announced auditions for singers, offering one person a chance to apply for an international talent show. Maria hesitated. She had no proper clothes, no vocal training, no money for travel. But her mother, weak but smiling, told her something Maria would never forget. She said, "If your voice was given to you, it's because someone needs to hear it." With borrowed shoes and a simple dress, Maria went to the audition. She sang in a small room with peeling paint and broken fans. The judges looked tired, distracted. But when Maria opened her mouth, the room changed. Her voice carried pain, hope, and strength all at once. By the end of the song, the judges were silent. Days later, Maria received news that shocked her entire village. She had been selected to audition for America's Got Talent 2025. The journey to America felt unreal. It was Maria's first time on an airplane, her first time leaving her country. She carried with her a small bag, a photo of her family, and the weight of every sacrifice made for her. When she arrived in Los Angeles, the city overwhelmed her. The lights, the buildings, the speed of everything made her feel small again. On audition day, Maria waited backstage with hundreds of other contestants. Some had flashy outfits, confident smiles, and stories of training and experience. Maria stood quietly in the corner, her hands cold, her heart racing. When her name was called, she stepped onto the stage, blinded by lights, facing judges she had only seen on a screen. Simon Cowell leaned forward, curious but reserved. Another judge asked Maria about her background. Her voice shook as she explained where she came from, how singing was her only dream. The judges exchanged looks. One of them gently suggested that the competition was very tough this year. Another hinted that maybe she wasn't ready yet. The audience grew quiet. Maria felt the familiar fear rising, the same fear she had felt her whole life, that her dreams were too big for someone like her. Simon asked what song she had prepared. Maria paused, then said she wanted to sing a song her grandmother used to sing during storms. Simon raised an eyebrow, uncertain. The judge's body language suggested doubt. For a moment, it seemed like they might stop her before she even started. Then Maria closed her eyes and sang. The first note was soft, almost fragile. The second note carried pain. By the third, the room felt heavy with emotion. Her voice wasn't perfect, but it was real. Every lyric sounded like a confession, every note like a memory. The judges sat back, stunned. The audience leaned forward. As the song built, Maria's voice grew stronger, filling the theater with a sound that felt ancient and new at the same time. Halfway through the song, Maria began to cry, but she didn't stop singing. The tears only made her voice more powerful. She sang about loss, about storms, about holding on when everything is taken away. People in the audience wiped their eyes. One judge covered their mouth in disbelief. Simon's expression changed completely, from doubt to awe. When the final note faded, there was a moment of silence so deep it felt sacred. Then the entire theater erupted in applause. People stood, cheering, clapping, shouting her name. Maria stood frozen, unsure if it was real. She had been seconds away from rejection, and now the room felt like it was lifting her up. The judges spoke one by one, praising her honesty, her courage, her voice. Simon admitted he had underestimated her. He said that what she had wasn't just talent, but truth, and that truth was rare. When the votes came in, Maria received yes after yes. She broke down on stage, covering her face as tears streamed down. For the first time in her life, the world had said yes to her dream. But the story didn't end there. As the competition continued, Maria faced new challenges. Online critics questioned her background, accused the show of using her story for sympathy. Maria felt the pressure growing heavier. During rehearsals, her voice cracked from stress. She considered quitting. One night, she called her mother, ready to give up. Her mother reminded her why she started, not for fame, but to be heard. In the next round, Maria chose a risky song in English, a language she wasn't fully comfortable with. The judges warned her it could backfire. But Maria sang anyway, pouring everything she had into each word. The performance wasn't flawless, but it was fearless. Once again, the audience responded with overwhelming support. Week after week, Maria survived eliminations. Each performance revealed a new layer of her story, her strength, her growth. By the time she reached the semi-finals, America knew her name. People shared her videos, wrote messages of support, sent prayers from around the world. Maria wasn't just a contestant anymore. She was a symbol of hope. In the finals, Maria returned to the song that started it all, blending it with a powerful modern arrangement. As she sang, images of her village, her family, and her journey played behind her. The performance felt like a full-circle moment, a reminder of where she came from and how far she had traveled. When the results were announced, Maria didn't win first place. But it didn't matter. She had already won something bigger. She had proven that a poor girl from a forgotten village could stand on the biggest stage in the world and be heard. After the show, Maria received offers for scholarships, music training, and recording opportunities. She returned home briefly, greeted by her village with tears and celebration. She rebuilt her family's home and promised to help other children chase their dreams. Maria's story reminds us that sometimes rejection is just a pause before a miracle. That sometimes the world doubts you not because you're weak, but because it hasn't heard your song yet. And when you finally sing, everything changes. If this story moved you, remember that dreams don't belong only to the lucky or the rich. They belong to anyone brave enough to hold on.